The First Contact Incident. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Artemis, her dark eyes scanning the swirling nebula before her. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. The massive structure they discovered hidden within the cosmic clouds defied explanation, its surface covered in symbols that pulsed with an inner light. "Commander," Lieutenant Patel's voice cracked over the comm, "the civilian research vessel is requesting permission to dock. Dr. Reyes is leading the team." Elena's heart skipped a beat. Her wife, Dr. Valentina Reyes, was one of Earth's leading xenoarchaeologists. Of course she'd be here for this discovery. But their daughter. "Lieutenant, please tell me Isabella isn't aboard that vessel." The silence that followed told her everything. Their 14-year-old daughter, already showing her mother Valentina's brilliant mind for alien artifacts, had apparently convinced her way onto the research team. Elena pressed her fingers to her temples, fighting back both pride and worry. The massive structure suddenly flared to life, its symbols burning brighter. Elena's tactical display lit up with warnings as energy readings spiked off the charts. Before she could issue orders, a beam of light shot from the structure, scanning every ship in the vicinity. That's when they heard it, a voice that seemed to echo directly in their minds: "Genetic compatibility detected. The key has returned." The research vessel carrying Valentina and Isabella shuddered as another beam locked onto it. Elena's training kicked in instantly. "All ships, defensive formation Delta. Get that research vessel behind our shields now." But the alien structure was faster. Before their eyes, a section of it transformed, revealing what could only be described as an ancient hangar bay. The research vessel, caught in the tractor beam, began moving inexorably toward it. "Valentina!" Elena shouted into the comm, "Status report." Her wife's calm voice came through, though Elena could hear the underlying tension. "We're locked out of all systems. Isabella." "Elena, Isabella is glowing." Elena's blood ran cold. "What do you mean, glowing?" "The symbols on her birthmark, they're responding to the structure. They're the same patterns." "The birthmark." That strange, swirling pattern on their daughter's shoulder that doctors had never been able to explain. The one that had fascinated Valentina from the moment they'd adopted Isabella as a baby. A new voice cut through their communication, Isabella's. "Mom, I'm not scared. I think I understand what they want." The structure's voice resonated again, "The guardian seed awakens. The cycle begins anew." Elena made a decision that would change the course of human history. "All ships, hold your fire. Lieutenant Patel, you have the bridge." She strode toward the teleporter bay, checking her pulse rifle. "I'm going aboard that research vessel." "Commander," Patel protested, "regulations state dash." "Regulations don't cover this situation," Elena cut him off. "That's my family in there. And whatever this ancient thing wants with my daughter, it's going to learn a very important lesson about human mothers." As Elena materialized aboard the research vessel, she found chaos. The crew was frantically trying to regain control of their systems while Valentina stood protectively near Isabella, whose birthmark now illuminated the entire chamber with its ethereal glow. "Mom!" Isabella called out, her voice filled with wonder rather than fear. "The patterns, they're a key to something ancient. Something left behind by the predecessors." Valentina's eyes met Elena's, sharing a moment of understanding. Their daughter had always been special, but this was beyond anything they could have imagined. The structure's voice echoed once more, "The guardian bloodline persists. Enemy forces approach. The key must be protected." As if on cue, Elena's tactical display lit up with new contacts emerging from hyperspace. Ships of unknown design, their signatures radiating hostility. Elena moved to stand between her family and the viewing port, her stance shifting to that of a predator protecting its young. Whatever was coming, whatever ancient cosmic drama they'd stumbled into, one thing was certain: these unknown forces were about to learn why threatening a human child in front of their mother was the last mistake many species made only once. The research vessel shuddered as it was drawn deeper into the ancient structure. Isabella's birthmark pulsed in rhythm with the surrounding symbols, and Elena felt something stir deep in her soul, an echo of countless mothers throughout human history who had stood between their children and danger. "Valentina," Elena said, her voice deadly calm, "get our daughter to safety. I'll handle what comes next." The unknown ships opened fire, their energy weapons splashing against the structure's ancient shields. But Elena merely smiled, a predator's smile that had nothing to do with joy and everything to do with the absolute certainty of what she would do to protect her family. The ancient structure had chosen her daughter as some kind of key. These hostile forces wanted to prevent that. But they had made one crucial miscalculation: they had threatened a human child in front of her mother. And as the first enemy boarding pods attached to the structure's hull, Elena Reyes prepared to teach them exactly why that was a mistake of galactic proportions. Awakening the Guardian. The ancient structure's corridors hummed with energy that seemed to respond to Isabella's presence. Elena moved ahead of her family, pulse rifle ready, while Valentina supported their daughter, whose birthmark continued to illuminate their path with its ethereal glow. "The symbols are telling a story," Isabella whispered, her fingers trailing along the wall's glowing patterns. "They speak of the guardians, ancient protectors who sealed away something terrible." Valentina's scientific curiosity warred with her maternal instincts as she documented everything with her neural recorder. "The language structure is unlike anything we've encountered. Yet somehow you can understand it, sweetheart." The deck shuddered beneath them as another volley from the unknown hostile ships struck the structure's shields. Elena checked her tactical display. The enemy boarding parties were spreading throughout the facility, converging on their location with disturbing precision. "They're called the Void Hunters," Isabella said, her voice distant, as if reciting from memory she shouldn't have. "They've pursued the Guardian bloodline across galaxies, seeking to prevent the awakening." Her birthmark pulsed brighter. "But they don't understand. The awakening isn't something they can stop, it's already begun." A harsh screech of tearing metal echoed through the corridors. Elena's combat interface highlighted multiple hostile signatures approaching from adjacent passages. She guided her family into what appeared to be an ancient control chamber, its walls covered in the same pulsing symbols. "Valentina, get those doors sealed." "Isabella, stay close to dash." Elena's orders were cut short as Isabella stepped toward the chamber's center, where a pillar of light erupted from the floor. "The Guardian seed requires confluence," the structure's voice resonated in their minds. "The bloodline must awaken fully." The hostile forces chose that moment to breach the nearby corridors. Elena heard their heavy footsteps approaching and took up a defensive position. The first attacker that appeared in the doorway was unlike anything in Earth's xenobiological database, a towering figure encased in living metal, its form suggesting an unsettling merger of organic and technological components. "Surrender the keybearer," it demanded in a voice that sounded like grinding stone. "The cycle must not repeat." Elena's response was a precisely aimed burst from her pulse rifle, striking the creature's shoulder joint where its armor appeared thinnest. "Wrong answer. That's my daughter you're threatening." The chamber's symbols flared in response to Elena's defensive action, and Isabella gasped. "Mom, I understand now. The Guardians, they weren't just protectors. They were parents. The most powerful among them were those who fought to protect their children." More Void Hunters appeared in the doorway, their living metal armor reconfiguring into weapon systems. Elena stood her ground, every fiber of her being focused on keeping them away from Isabella. Behind her, Valentina worked frantically to decode the chamber's controls. "The original Guardians," Isabella continued, her voice growing stronger as her birthmark's glow intensified, "they weren't chosen for their strength or skill. They were chosen for their capacity to love, to protect. That's why their power passed through bloodlines, not through genetics, but through bonds of love and sacrifice." The pillar of light surrounding Isabella suddenly expanded, washing over Elena and Valentina. Elena felt something awaken inside her, a power that resonated with her every maternal instinct. Her tactical display transformed, showing her not just enemy positions but their weaknesses, their fears. "Impossible," one of the Void Hunters growled. "The Guardian power cannot activate without the ancient protocols." "You still don't understand," Valentina called out, her scientific mind putting the pieces together. "The ancient protocols aren't technological, they're emotional. The power responds to the bond between parent and child." The chamber's symbols began to align with the patterns in Isabella's birthmark, creating a cascading reaction throughout the structure. Elena felt the power surge through her, enhancing her already formidable combat abilities. Her pulse rifle's energy signatures synchronized with the chamber's frequencies, its effectiveness doubled. "The Guardian awakens," the structure's voice proclaimed. "The Protector rises." Elena moved with newfound speed and precision, her attack striking the Void Hunters with devastating accuracy. Each shot was guided not just by her military training, but by an instinctive understanding of how to protect her child that transcended normal human limitations. "Fall back," the lead Void Hunter commanded its forces. "The Guardian bond is stabilizing. We cannot allow dash." Its words were cut short as Elena vaulted over their front line, her movements enhanced by the structure's power. "You came here to threaten my daughter," she said, her voice carrying the same resonance as the ancient facility. "Now you'll learn why that was your last mistake." The chamber trembled as more of the structure's systems activated, responding to the combined presence of Isabella's awakening power and Elena's protective fury. Valentina's eyes widened as her instruments recorded the unprecedented energy readings. "Elena," she called out, "the structure, it's not just a facility. It's a weapon. A weapon powered by a parent's love." Isabella stepped out of the light pillar, her birthmark now forming patterns that spread across her skin like luminous armor. "Mom," she said, looking at Elena with eyes that held both youth and ancient wisdom, "I know what we have to do. The Guardians left this for us, for parents who would do anything to protect their children. To protect all children." Elena stood between her daughter and the Void Hunters, feeling the structure's power flow through her, amplifying every protective instinct she possessed. The enemy forces regrouped, bringing more weapons to bear, but Elena merely smiled, the same predator's smile from before, but now backed by the power of an ancient legacy built on the most fundamental force in any universe, a mother's love. "Come on then," she challenged the Void Hunters. "Let's show you what happens when you give a human mother the power of the stars." The ancient structure shuddered as the Void Hunters' fleet intensified their assault. In the control chamber, Elena stood transformed, her body wreathed in ghostly armor formed from the same light that emanated from Isabella's birthmark. Each hit against the facility's shields resonated through her enhanced awareness like ripples in a pond. "Their attack pattern is changing," Elena announced, her tactical experience merging with the Guardian power. "They're not trying to get in anymore. They're trying to draw us out." Valentina worked at the chamber's control interfaces, her xenoarchaeological expertise allowing her to decipher the facility's true purpose. "Elena, these readings, this structure isn't just a weapon platform. It's a seed ship, designed to plant Guardian facilities across the galaxy. There are thousands more out there, waiting to be awakened." Isabella placed her hand on one of the glowing walls, her eyes distant. "The Void Hunters destroyed the other seeds before they could activate. That's why they're so desperate to stop us. We're the last." A new voice cut through their conversation, harsh, ancient, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Guardian vessel, your time ends here. Surrender the keybearer, or we will initiate total dimensional collapse of this sector." Elena's enhanced senses detected the shift in enemy ship formations. They were serious. They wouldn't dare. It would destroy everything in this region of space, including their own forces. "They would," Isabella whispered, ancestral memories flooding through her awakened connection. "They've done it before. That's how they destroyed the original Guardian network." They sacrificed entire sectors of space to sever the connection between parents and children, to break the power at its source. The chamber's displays shifted, showing the Void Hunters' ships moving into a ritual formation. Energy readings spiked as they began the dimensional collapse sequence. They had minutes, at most. "There has to be another way," Valentina said, her fingers flying over the control surfaces. "The Guardians must have had countermeasures for this scenario." Isabella's birthmark flared brighter. "They did. But... Mom, you won't like it. The only way to stop them is to complete the awakening. To fully activate the Guardian seed." "What's the catch?" Elena asked, recognizing the hesitation in her daughter's voice. "It requires sacrifice," Isabella explained, tears forming in her eyes. "The power needs to be focused through a fully awakened Guardian, through you. But the energy required, it would mean—" "No," Valentina interrupted, understanding dawning on her face. "Absolutely not. We're not losing either of you." The facility trembled more violently as space itself began to warp around them. Through her enhanced senses, Elena could feel the fabric of reality starting to tear. The Void Hunters were actually doing it, they would destroy everything to prevent the Guardian network from reactivating. A memory surfaced in Elena's mind, not her own, but one shared through the Guardian power. A parent in ancient times, facing the same choice. Choosing to sacrifice everything to give their child a future. The ultimate expression of a parent's love. "There's another way," Elena said suddenly, her military training combining with Guardian insights. "Isabella, you said the power flows through bonds of love, right? Not just genetic connections." Isabella nodded, then her eyes widened as she understood. "Mom, no. The power was never meant to flow both ways. Letting me channel it through you could work," Valentina finished, her scientific mind racing ahead. "The parental bond goes both ways. A child's love for their parent can be just as strong." Elena smiled at her family. The Void Hunters based their entire strategy on breaking the parent-to-child connection. They never considered the reverse could be possible. The chamber's symbols began to shift, responding to their realization. The structure's voice echoed, "Unprecedented configuration detected. Warning, untested convergence may have unpredictable results." "That's what they get for threatening a human family," Elena said, reaching out to take Isabella's hand. "We specialize in unpredictable." Valentina stepped forward, completing their family circle. The original Guardians designed this system based on a parent's love for their child. But they forgot something fundamental about human families. "Love flows in all directions," Isabella finished, her birthmark's light spreading to encompass all three of them. The Void Hunters' dimensional collapse reached a critical point. Reality itself began to buckle around the facility. But within the control chamber, something new was taking shape, a convergence of power unlike anything the ancient Guardians had envisioned. Elena felt the energy flowing not from her to Isabella, but from all of them to each other. The Guardian power, designed to amplify a parent's protective instincts, resonated with the complete bond of their family. Parent to child to parent, each connection strengthening the others. "Impossible," the Void Hunters' leader transmitted. "The Guardian protocols cannot be reconfigured. The power must flow from protector to protected." "You really don't understand humans at all, do you?" Elena replied, feeling their family's combined strength surging through the facility. "In our families, everyone protects everyone. That's what makes us so dangerous." The chamber erupted with light as their unified family bond activated the Guardian seed in a way its creators had never imagined. The power of their connection resonated through the structure, then beyond, reaching out to the dormant seeds scattered across the galaxy. The Void Hunters' dimensional collapse wavered, then began to reverse as a new kind of Guardian network took shape, one based not on hierarchical protection, but on the complete, reciprocal love of a human family. Elena, Valentina, and Isabella stood at the heart of it all, their combined love transforming an ancient weapon into something entirely new. They had not only survived the Void Hunter's ultimate attack, they had evolved beyond it. And in that moment, as their family's bond reshaped the very nature of the Guardian legacy, the galaxy learned a crucial lesson: never underestimate the power of a human family's love. The activation of the new Guardian network sent ripples through spacetime that even the Earth Defense Fleet could detect. The Void Hunter's dimensional collapse had been halted, but the energy had to go somewhere. Through their shared connection, Elena, Valentina, and Isabella felt the power seeking new channels, new expressions of the familial bonds they had awakened. Multiple Guardian seeds activating across the sector, Valentina reported, her scientific instruments struggling to keep up with the cascade of energy signatures. The network is evolving. Elena felt it through her enhanced awareness, each dormant seed responding not to a single Guardian's protection, but to the complex web of family bonds in its vicinity. They're adapting to match our configuration. The whole system is rewriting itself. Isabella's birthmark now pulsed in rhythm with both her mother's heartbeats, their three-way connection creating patterns the original Guardians had never imagined. The Void Hunters are pulling back, she announced, reading the tactical displays with her new awareness. But something's wrong. They're laughing. The enemy commander's voice crackled through their communications, filled with dark amusement. Humans. So clever, yet so blind. Did you think we spent millennia hunting Guardian seeds without a contingency for this exact scenario? The structure's warning systems blazed to life as new energy signatures emerged from hyperspace. These ships were different, darker, more organic, their hulls seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Behold the Void-born," the commander announced. "When we destroyed the first Guardian network, we learned to harvest its power. To corrupt it. Your new network isn't just activating the remaining seeds, it's awakening our sleeping armies as well." Through the facility's sensors, they watched in horror as the darkness spread. Each Guardian seed that their family bond awakened also triggered the emergence of a Void-born vessel. Light and shadow, protection and corruption, multiplying across the galaxy. "Mom," Isabella whispered, her voice trembling but determined, "I know what they did wrong. Why the original network failed." Elena turned to her daughter, seeing not just their 14-year-old but also the ancient wisdom flowing through her. "Tell us." The first Guardians built their network on protection alone. They thought that was enough, that being stronger, being willing to sacrifice everything to protect, would save their children. But they forgot about teaching them to protect themselves. Valentina's eyes widened as she correlated this with her xenoarchaeological research. That's why the Void Hunters were able to corrupt the power. Protection without empowerment creates dependency, Elena finished, her military training combining with Guardian insight. And dependency can be turned against you. The chamber's symbols shifted again as their family bond resonated with this understanding. The structure's voice spoke, new paradigm detected. Implementing Guardian protocol revision. Through their shared connection, they felt the network changing again. The power that had flowed between them wasn't just protecting, it was teaching, strengthening, empowering each other. Their love wasn't a shield that denied danger existed, but a foundation that gave each of them the strength to face it. "What are you doing?" the Void Hunter commander demanded as the energy patterns shifted. "What is this new configuration?" Elena smiled, feeling the change ripple through the network. "We're doing what human parents have always done. We're not just protecting our children, we're teaching them to be strong on their own. And that's something your corruption can't touch." The Void-born ships launched their attack, dark energy weapons cutting through space. But where their corrupted power touched the revised network, it found not just protection but resilience. Each Guardian seed was no longer just a defensive platform but a nexus of empowerment. Isabella stepped forward, her birthmark blazing with newfound purpose. "You built your whole strategy around turning protection into weakness. But that's not how human families work. We protect each other by making each other stronger. The chamber filled with light as their family bond catalyzed the next phase of the Guardian legacy. Elena's combat experience, Valentina's scientific wisdom, and Isabella's awakened power merged and multiplied, spreading through the network not as a shield, but as a source of strength. Impossible, the void-born ships transmitted as their corruption failed to take hold. The Guardian power cannot be altered this fundamentally. Watch us, Elena replied, taking both her wife's and daughter's hands. This is what happens when you threaten a family that knows the difference between protection and empowerment. The network blazed with renewed purpose as their understanding transformed its very nature. Each activated seed became not just a fortress but a beacon, not just defending against the darkness but teaching others to shine their own light. And as the void-born fleet found their corrupt power turned back upon them, the galaxy witnessed the true strength of a human family's love, not just in their willingness to sacrifice everything to protect each other, but in their dedication to helping each other grow strong enough to face any darkness. Legacy of a mother's love. The transformed Guardian network pulsed with new purpose as the void-born fleet's corruption dissipated against its evolved defenses. Through their shared connection, Elena, Valentina, and Isabella felt the change spreading across the galaxy, not as a wave of pure protection, but as a cascade of enlightenment and strength. Their corruption is failing, Valentina observed, her scientific instruments tracking the collapse of the Void-born's dark energy signatures. But they're not retreating. They're consolidating. The enemy fleet was indeed gathering, their ships merging into a singular mass of corrupted Guardian power. The Void Hunter commander's voice echoed through space, tinged with desperate rage. If we cannot corrupt your network, we will overload it. Every Guardian seed you've awakened will become a conduit for our final strike. Elena's enhanced tactical awareness saw the threat immediately. They're going to channel all their corrupted power through the network at once. They think our connections will shatter under the strain. Isabella's birthmark flared as ancestral memories provided context. That's how they won before. The original Guardians couldn't maintain their protective bonds under that kind of pressure. They burned out trying to shield everyone at once. But Valentina, ever the scientist, noticed something the Void Hunters had missed. Look at the energy patterns, she said, pointing to the flowing data streams. Our network isn't just maintaining protective bonds, it's teaching others to create their own. Through the facility's sensors, they watched as their reformed Guardian network spread its influence. On countless worlds, the seeds weren't just activating, they were adapting to local conditions, resonating with each culture's unique understanding of family and protection. You still don't understand what you're facing, Elena transmitted to the Void Hunter commander. We're not trying to protect the entire galaxy ourselves. We're showing the galaxy how to protect itself. The commander's response was to initiate their final attack. The combined Void-born fleet glowed with dark energy as they forced every scrap of corrupted Guardian power through the network at once. The strain was immense, Elena felt it threatening to overwhelm their family's connection. But something unexpected happened. As the corruption touched each awakened seed, it encountered not just the Reyes family's protection, but the emerging strength of countless other families learning to create their own bonds. The network wasn't a single point of failure, it had become a tapestry of interconnected relationships, each supporting and strengthening the others. Mom, Isabella called out, her voice filled with wonder, everyone's helping. The network, it's not just us anymore. She was right. Through their Guardian sight, they could see it happening across space. Parents and children, families of all kinds, reaching out to each other as the network taught them to harness their own bonds of love and protection. Each connection became another thread in the defense against the darkness. The Void-born's corruption found itself opposed not by a single family's protection, but by millions of emerging bonds. Every attempt to overload the network only served to teach more families how to resist, how to grow stronger together. Impossible, the Void Hunter commander raged. The Guardian power was never meant to be distributed this way. That was your mistake, Valentina replied, understanding flowering in her mind. You spent millennia trying to break one kind of protection. But human families? We have as many ways of protecting each other as there are stars in the sky. Elena felt the truth of it through their connection. The original Guardians had created a hierarchy of protectors. The Void Hunters had learned to corrupt that rigid structure. But what she and her family had created was something organic, adaptable, a network that grew stronger through diversity rather than uniformity. The chamber's symbols blazed as the structure recognized the final transformation of its purpose. Guardian Network evolution complete, it announced. Implementing permanent distributed protocol. Isabella's birthmark pulsed one final time as the change took hold. The power they had awakened was no longer bound to specific bloodlines or limited to traditional protective roles. It had become something greater, a galactic legacy of family bonds, each unique, each powerful in its own way. The Void-born fleet's attack reached its crescendo, pouring every last bit of corrupted power into their assault. But where that darkness touched, it found not walls but windows, not shields but mirrors. Every attempt to corrupt the network only revealed new ways for families to strengthen each other. You wanted to see the ultimate expression of a mother's love? Elena addressed their fading enemies. Look around you. It's not in how fiercely we protect our children. It's in how well we teach them to shine their own light against the darkness. The Void-born fleet's corruption collapsed in on itself, overwhelmed not by superior force but by the simple impossibility of corrupting something that constantly evolved and adapted. Their ships, sustaining on stolen Guardian power for millennia, finally lost their cohesion. As the last traces of the Void Hunter's presence faded from space, Elena held her family close. Through their connection, they felt the network stabilizing into its new form, not a weapon or a shield, but a legacy. A gift to every family in the galaxy, teaching them to find their own strength in their bonds of love. The Guardian network is secure, Valentina reported, reading the final data streams. But it's not what the ancients intended. We've changed it into something entirely new. We made it better, Isabella said confidently. Because now it's not about having power over others. It's about helping everyone find their own power. Elena smiled, feeling the truth of her daughter's words rippling through space. The galaxy would never be the same, not because one family had become powerful enough to protect everyone, but because they had shown every family how to protect themselves. And in the vast tapestry of space, countless new lights began to shine, each representing a family learning to turn their love into strength. The legacy of the Guardians had become not a single beacon against the darkness, but a lesson in how to light up the night sky with stars of your own making.